Welcome to Backyards and Bevvies. Grab your favorite bevy, pull up a chair, and enjoy the ride. Hey,
Hi.
welcome to Backyards and Bevvies.
Welcome to Backyards and Bevvies.
Your midweek treat for laughter and life lessons.
100%.
This week we are in our backyard again, chilling. Yep. It's surprisingly warm cold.
Yeah, it's a middle area temperature. I'm chilly, but not cold.
I had sweats on earlier, but now I'm in shorts.
Well, you're weird. I still don't understand why you're in shorts.
Thanks.
That's the truth.
It's kind of sprinkling, which, again, I wasn't really ready for, but we're going to truck through this.
Yeah.
We got our trusty Iron Maiden shirt on over the computer.
Yes, over the computer.
Iron Maiden keeps
keeps
the
it
protector.
Safe. And we've got some of our Christmas decorations up.
Yeah, we have Christmas we're coming to the end of season 1 and the end of 2021.
Yes.
Which is pretty wild. And just a little housekeeping. We have this episode, then we're going to do an episode with our friend Kirsten, who's a therapist.
Yes.
She does she works with the people who are battling mental health issues.
Yeah, who have some
like
mental health issues as well as some substance abuse issues and stuff.
Yeah, so that's a really cool one. Yeah, counselor. That's a good therapist counselor. She's going to be on next week, so if you're into the interview stuff, that'll be coming back next week.
I'm looking forward to hearing that one.
Yeah, that was a really good one. Then we'll come back for another one, and then we have our buddy Cal on, who is a fitness and sports. He likes fitness, sports, and he also tours. I toured with him.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a cool one. That'll be a fun one. We talk inspiration, like how he gets inspired in the morning to work out, how he stayed fit for so long in his life when, on the road and all that stuff. So that's a really cool one. But yeah, today we were talking last night over some movies. Me and my movies.
I know.
I don't really like new movies.
I know. It's funny. It's actually very true. We repeat a lot of things.
I could eat the same food every day, and I could also watch the same thing every day. It doesn't matter.
Very comforting.
But I did wear one of my favorite movie socks today. I have my Major League Ricky Vaughn socks on.
There you go.
So any person that's a sock fanatic, I found these awesome socks on Stance.
You love Stance socks.
They're really some of the best socks ever. And that's no advertisement. Like, they don't pay me to say that. I really have been rocking them on tour forever. Yeah. But they make funny socks too, which are kind of, I don't know, I like funny socks.
I have kind of funny socks on. They're from Amazon that you got for me.
Kitty cat socks?
Yeah, they're kitty cat socks. They're Maine Coon cat socks. And he looks like our cat Archie is on there.
Yeah, one of our big cats.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of movies, it's holiday season, so we've watched Home Alone and Home Alone 2 13 times
1,000 times.
And I still laugh out loud every time.
You were cracking up yesterday.
Yeah, that was a pretty good scene. When he throws the bricks in Home Alone 2,
it's classic.
I mean, there's something about watching someone in a cartoonish way die, but he didn't die.
He didn't die. Yeah, like, you should be dead. You just got hit in the face with a brick 4 times in a row.
And with some speed. It's not like they were like dropped off of a balcony. They were like a 4-story brick house in New York, thrown at him. It wasn't just a drop, it was thrown. So that's been fun. We've watched Christmas Vacation. We talked about that last week. And last night, though, the other night you were coming home from work, I usually put the little guy into that one little seat of his on the couch. He fits in it perfect right now. And so it holds him safe for me. I can keep an eye on him while I'm still doing like my daddy daycare duties and my Mr. Mom duties.
Perfect. Love it.
I was cooking and I had National Treasure on, and I'd never seen it.
Yeah, I love that movie.
And we have Disney Plus, whatever thing, streaming service. And you came in and you're like, "Oh wow, I didn't know you liked this movie." And I was like, I've never seen it. And you're like, what?
I couldn't believe it. It's a classic.
And then I had
so
a real snarky comment to you. I was like, well,
as usual,
I was out living my life when this movie came out or something like that.
You said something about not being a nerd, and I was like, well, that's just rude. Okay, fine.
Yeah, I was out drinking and getting fat.
And I'm like, okay, this came out when I was like 13, but whatever.
Yeah, I was probably doing copious amounts of drugs at the time and not wanting to go spend any money on a movie.
Well, it's a good movie.
That's what led into our Bevvies for the day.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly didn't even put it in the freaking cooler because I just started drinking it right from the get-go, but we went to Dunkin' Donuts.
I know.
Because part of the movie takes place in Boston.
Yes.
And so we were like...
Which is my old stomping grounds.
Which is your old stomping grounds. And one of the comments I made to you was when they were in like one of the cemeteries you said Boston or I made the comment, oh, have you ever been to that small cemetery in like downtown Boston? And you're like in Boston Commons where Benjamin
I knew immediately what you were talking about.
Yeah, and then we went into we had to pause the movie for a second, talk a little bit about Boston, and then we ended up saying, well, I feel like we should Google and see if there's a Dunkin' Donuts close to us. And sure enough, down the street.
I love Dunkin' Donuts. And did you know, actually, that Dunkin' Donuts started in Quincy, Massachusetts?
I didn't know.
That is why all of my fellow massholes are so obsessed with their Dunks, Dunkies, many nicknames. It's delicious. I mean, it's strong.
I
survived
Dunkin' Donuts person over Starbucks.
Dunks. Yeah, I agree. There is one drink at Starbucks that I really, really love, but if it comes down to a choice between Starbucks and Dunks, I'm gonna go for Dunks.
Yeah, and I think people are generally that way. It's like I would say more people go to Starbucks because of the convenience, and
they are everywhere. Yeah, I wish that there was a Dunks closer to us.
I know that some people enjoy, obviously, like their own brand, like whatever. There's Black Rifle. There's Backstage Brewers
Black
now.
Rifle. It's delicious.
Yeah, one of our buddies opened up his own. He roasts them and stuff, and then Tracker. He's going to be doing his. But then there's what is it? Pete's. Peet's
Coffee,
or something like that.
I think it's just 2 E's. I don't think it's that many.
I normally, if I go to get any coffee, it's cold brew for me.
Yeah, same. Cold brew all day.
I did cold brew. I do have to make a confession though.
Oh, what is it?
I put Jameson in mine.
I put Jameson in mine.
Yes.
I saw it on the counter and I assumed maybe PK put a little splashy splash of this in his drink. Maybe I'll put a little in mine.
I put 3 splashes.
Oh my, that's more splashes than I put. But I can definitely already taste it. Part of me wishes I hadn't put it in there. But
yeah, it's gonna be. If I chug this thing,
I will not be
wall.
chugging this giant coffee. I'll have a heart attack.
I might have to take a little boys' restroom break
midway
100%. Through if I had to. No, I really think Dunkin', though, it's one of those brands that you see it and you instantly think donut, but I think their coffee is amazing.
I think coffee, which is funny, but I think that's because when I lived in Massachusetts, when I was in college and stuff, we did Dunks trips every day. When I lived in Boston, they were everywhere, like a Starbucks. They're on every street corner in Boston.
Way easier to get a Dunkin'.
Yeah, I would go get a Dunks at least once a day, probably more than once, and definitely was over caffeinated, but it's delicious.
Did you have them out in the Cape?
Yeah, they have them on the Cape. There aren't as many as if you're in Boston or something, but they definitely do have them on Cape Cod. Nice. I love the little drive-through ones.
Oh yeah. Do you remember the commercial? With the old dude with the mustache, kind of like mine right now.
A Dunkin' Donuts commercial?
Yeah, he was making he would get out of bed super early and I'm pretty sure he had a little slogan that said something like "Time to make the donuts."
Nope, I have no idea. All I remember is their slogan that's like "America runs on Dunkin'."
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I think we might have to. I'll YouTube it later for you. I'll put it in the links for people if I find it. But yeah, it was just one of those commercials that I can see playing in my head from a child. Playing on an old TV of mine. But yeah, I generally would, if a Starbucks and a Dunkin' Donuts were next to each other, I would choose Dunkin'.
Agree.
definitely.
Agree.
On tours, for one, I had a friend that loved Jameson on tour. Then I have my best friend, Neil, who loves Jameson. And he wasn't the first to show me putting Jameson in coffee, but I kind of made this in homage of him because every time we would go to like, early morning Saturday to, go make a coffee run for the family. He would always put a little Jameson in
Jamo in there. Isn't that what an Irish coffee is?
I think that's
Jameson,
the term.
Or is that with Baileys?
I mean, I think just alcohol in your coffee.
I wish we had Baileys because I ended up. Unfortunately, the Dunks was very, very busy this morning and understaffed, so they forgot to put the creamer and stuff in my coffee. I wanted oat milk, but
so busy.
So I used powdered creamer just now, like my grandfather used to use, and it's not really cutting it so much. I can definitely taste the Jameson way more than the creamer.
Which is awesome.
I don't know.
This will turn into a good day.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
When you lived in Boston, so I have many stories from my time of touring to Boston, but when we would go there, like I was saying a few minutes ago, me and a few friends would always go out during the day, maybe of like a venue, and go get a Starbucks, or it just breaks up the day, But every time we played TD Garden or any of those places, it was always Dunkin. So when you worked downtown, I mean, you were working at what, Hard Rock Live?
Hard Rock Cafe.
Hard Rock Cafe,
yeah.
That's right.
I bartended there while I was waiting to find out if I was getting into grad school.
Wow. And then so you'd be like all hungover and be like, I need to go get a Dunkin' Donut.
Yeah, I would leave the house usually, walk to Dunk's, get at least one breakfast sandwich, even if I was working the night shift, because if I was hungover, I needed some grease for sure. That sausage, egg, and cheese croissant is where it's at.
Yeah.
So I would get that, and then a large, they didn't have cold brew back then, so I'd get like a large iced coffee and jump on the T, take the T all the way down to Faneuil Hall, and jump out there and walk over to Hard Rock and try not to die while making people drinks.
Jameson's a rough one to smell too after a hangover.
I literally just talking about it, I keep getting shivers. This may be a short episode.
Absolutely not. I'm gonna make it longer just because of that.
Yuck.
Did you like working at Hard Rock?
I did, actually. I really enjoyed it. Getting hired there was pretty wild, because obviously it's like this major corporate atmosphere and stuff like that. So they have way different like rules and things that you have to do, and like tests that you have to pass before they'll hire you and stuff. I mean, I had to learn over 300 drinks.
That's wild.
And then take a test and get at least a 95 on the test in order to actually become a bartender, because I started out as a server. So, but I loved it. I mean, it was awesome being able to work somewhere where there was live music almost every day, which for in Boston, I mean, that doesn't happen all the time like it does in Nashville, where everywhere you go there's live music.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
That was really great. I enjoyed that. And the money was great. I made a whole lot of money.
Yeah, it's down. It's not by Fenway, right?
It's in Faneuil Hall.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's near the Garden. You could walk to the Garden from there.
I'm trying to picture. I don't think I've ever been inside that Hard Rock, crazy enough, but I can picture a little bit where it's at.
Well, it was new back then. I think I started working there shortly after it opened. So it hasn't been around for all that long, probably like 15 years or something now.
Yeah. But do you remember in high school when people would rock like Hard Rock shirts and they would say like Mexico or some wild place? Like,
Orlando.
I want to go there.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have a Hard Rock in El Paso, Texas, so I was always like, man, I want to go to a Hard Rock one day. I actually
worked really good nachos.
They had they had like a spicy pasta that was pretty bomb too. I don't remember the name.
I don't remember the spicy pasta, but I remember the pulled pork nachos were awesome.
I worked at the Hard Rock Live in Orlando, Florida.
So the actual venue.
The big venue. I didn't. We were separate from the restaurant part, but we were still like one big family, and it was fun. I think I did 2 years there. I can't remember, but it was a blast, and saw a bunch of great bands come through. And
so you worked there as a live engineer?
I was a
stagehand.
stagehand.
You were a stagehand?
Yeah. I think I got
Did you have to wear the flare?
No.
I did.
Yeah, they left that side alone. We didn't really have to abide by certain nerd standards of wearing flare.
Covered in flare. Had to be. You had to wear like X number of pieces.
Yeah.
I think it was 10. You had to have a minimum of 10 pieces of flare
it's like
on.
the movie Office Space.
Oh, yeah.
Where Jennifer
Aniston works? Yeah, exactly.
She doesn't have shenanigans or
something like that.
One of those weird.
Yeah. Or O'Shaughnessy's. I can't remember. It's a great movie. Anyways.
So when I think of Boston, I don't think of Hard Rock.
Me either.
I don't really think of... I was never a Boston Red Sox fan or a Boston Patriot or Boston Patriot,
a New
England Patriot. I wasn't a Celtics fan
Bruins.
or a Bruins.
I love them all.
But I always knew TD Garden or Foxborough because we'd play those venues a lot. Yeah. I even played the House of Blues right there behind Fenway a few times.
Yeah, right across the street.
But the TD Garden was always a very, very interesting place to me because did you ever go see a show there? Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I saw my first Tool show there.
Ah, so you know the venue. Big, right?
Big. I mean, yeah. I saw a Celtics game there.
It's amazing.
It's awesome.
It's a beautiful, it's down by that cool bridge. What's the name of that bridge?
The Zakim Bridge.
Yeah, it just has all the little lines. It's white, really cool kind of architecture. It's down by the water.
Well, it's funny because the Ravenel Bridge in Charleston, where I also used to live, was modeled after the Zakim Bridge. So they look exactly the same.
This is one thing that you might be able to picture is when I first started touring and going to the Garden, we would park the buses on the opposite side of the bridge. So I would assume that that's away from the water. It's kind of more towards whatever the city side. And we used to put them right in this lot that was right there. And then you'd get off the bus and you'd make a left turn. Then you'd walk down the side of the building and then into security. Well, then one day I woke up and the buses were in a completely different area. They were down behind it by the bridge side. And maybe some buses would park there, like artist buses and stuff. But I just never was on that side. And so I was like, oh, wow, this is weird. Went to go get a Dunkin one day, a Dunky, whatever you want to call them, Dunks. Walked out and I was like, whoa, this is completely different. They had built a mall in front of it.
Oh, wow. It's been a while since I've been back.
Okay. So
I was supposed to go 3 years ago, maybe. One of my artists had a show there. And we had just played New York. And then we were going to Boston. And I got super sick and ended up stuck in the hotel room and couldn't go.
I kind of remember that.
Yeah.
But it's changed. It's way different. You would be... If you walked by it, you probably wouldn't even know the Garden was behind it because I think that not only is it a small mall, it's apartment buildings above it now. It's a completely different place. But the inside and how you load in and all the things, they didn't change any of it for us.
No.
If anything, it just became
even more difficult.
I think it truly became even harder for the truck drivers because if you've never been in the backside of it, looking at the arena, you're like, this is huge. It's massive. Well, the backside is the size of our living room.
Oh, small.
It is. There's not a lot of room, and usually they have to put catering in one little corner of the loading dock. So the loading dock, imagine a one-lane street going up, I think it's 4 floors.
Okay.
So from the ground level, there's this big ramp. There's 2 doors that open, or maybe 1 door. I think there's 2, whatever. But they open, the trucks pull in. And it widens to where you can fit 2 semis. At the very front, you can put 1 semi. Then you can put 2 more semis next to each other, and then 2 in front of them, and then you're out of space. And that means that there's no space to roll gear really around them.
Oh,
it is tight in there. So, but check this out. In the mornings, what they normally do is they bring 1 truck in frontwards, and it's the 1 truck that stays in.
Oh,
and
it stays.
Well, that one does, right? So, for instance, we had 26 semis on JT, right? Justin Timberlake. And we had to rotate 25 of them to go in the building that
and come
morning.
Out of the building.
And then that night, take 25 semis back out. Here's the kicker. Some of those trucks have to back in from the ground. So that means that they're backing up a hill in reverse. 4 stories.
Oh, my goodness.
And then pulling into this tiny door that barely, you can barely squeeze through because, when they built the place, they weren't expecting tours to be, 40 trucks deep and stuff like that.
Right.
So it was always mind-boggling to me. I'd be like, wow, these not only are these truck drivers amazing, but even the stagehands have it down so pat that you're like, we're never going to get out of here. This is crazy. Oh my gosh, we're never going to be able to squeeze all this stuff in here. And it always works. You're always like, we did it.
It looks like it's not going to work.
We did it again. And they're local too. So New York City is local 1.
That's the name of the union?
Yeah, the union. And then Boston is local 2. And they're all, they all compete. I mean,
as a Red Sox fan, I have an issue with being number 2 and number 1.
You're gonna have to take it up with the union, and that's a process. So have fun with that one. But they were so good at what they did. Yeah, you would on the in, it always takes longer because you're trying to put stuff together properly, so that way on the out you can speed out of there. Well, audio being one of audio landed always in a weird space. Either you were super fast and you got out of everyone's way, or you kind of were in the middle where you're always competing with other departments on either space or dock space, or there was just never a happy medium. You're either really fast or you're there in the middle. And well, a lot of times audio gets stuck in the trash loading dock.
Oh dear.
And so does video. I mean, everybody, if your case can fit into an elevator, they put you in the trash dock.
Gotcha.
And that's even a weirder spot because you have an elevator that you're using with all the other people in the building, the caterers, the people that concessions, they're going up and down in it. So on the out, you're sometimes effed if you don't get in there and just start cramming stuff in and have one guy helping you, one of the union guys, just telling people to beat it.
Yeah.
And they're pretty, massholes can have a good way of telling people to beat it.
Yeah, pretty
they're not
honest.
Yeah, they're pretty straightforward. And so you take your gear, and then a couple times when we were on JT, we played places multiple times.
Right.
So you're like, okay, well, I remember last time I totally messed this up and ate up the whole floor with my speakers. So let me slow it down this time and do it better. But inevitably down there in that trash chute, you get just effed because it stinks like trash.
Yeah, that already unappealing.
And it's well, in the winter it's not so bad because it's cold, yeah. But
in the summer,
there's been a couple times where you're down there and it's a warm summer day and hot after show trash.
Okay, that's gross.
But a good cigarette will mask the smell.
That sounds even worse. Let me cover the smell of trash with the smell of more trash.
So then, they're trying to load these speakers into a semi, and then there's the video guy. He's trying to load his cases. There's 14 guys down there all talking smack to you, hey kid, hey, where do you want me to take this box? Hey kid,
That does not sound Bostonian at all.
Or maybe that's a little New Yorker. The box. There you go, box. Hey, put that box over here, kid.
That's better.
Or you should do this, kid. Hey, I'm gonna move this over here for you, kid. You're I was always a kid. All right, whatever. But then all of a sudden, here comes the freaking dumpster guys, and they're trying to bring trash down the elevator, and you're it was a rough building, and it was one of those buildings that it was always an amazing show, always an amazing crowd. There's so much history in there. I mean, walking in the dressing room areas, you're just this is so cool. Larry Bird has been here.
Yeah.
I mean, some amazing hockey moments have happened in this building. And me not even being a Boston fan, I know that. So to be in the building, there's definitely some sort of awesomeness to it. But every time I saw it on the schedule, I was always like, dang, I really don't want this.
This load in and load out are going to be tough.
This is going to be a rough day. And then, you're stuck doing union stuff where you have to abide by certain rules and certain time frames and all those things and dark stages. And And some days they're nicer than others, and some days they had a show the night before or a basketball game the night before,
and they're exhausted,
so it's a never-ending battle. But I will say, for anyone that ever gets a chance to go see a show there, I really highly suggest it. It's one of those iconic
Great
venues.
venue.
Madison Square Garden, TD Garden,
Garden.
Garden.
Are they owned by the same people?
No, I think that the garden might have just been a term that you used like back in the day.
Oh, interesting.
And that stuck. There's no way they're going to change Madison Square Garden.
No,
ever.
definitely
No one.
not.
I don't think enough. You'd have to own an oil country.
Yeah.
And then give that building a lot of money to change that name.
Yeah.
And then can you think of another iconic? I mean, I can think of two more. Let's see if you have the same. So we have Madison Square Garden, TD Garden.
I mean, I would have said the Staples Center, but now it's going to be that like crypto.com or whatever it is.
The Staples Center will always be the Staples Center to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the house that Kobe built.
Right.
That was pretty rock star.
Right.
That venue, I was going to say the Forum in LA.
Okay.
That's definitely an iconic one. Just, again, walking in there, you're like, wow, this is pretty awesome. And the cool thing about the Forum is they line the wall so the wall that leads you out to the loading docks or the big ramp behind the stage is lined with all the concerts that have happened there. How many times? Like Eagles, two or three nights. Justin Bieber, 4 nights. It's
very cool.
Really, really cool. So you can look on the wall and it gives you the year, and then it lists them out in order.
Wow.
So you can
every year they've played and how many nights?
I mean, you can go back in some of that wall and see definitely some huge heavy hitters.
It's amazing.
The last one, and believe me, there's probably another 10 that people could argue that are very iconic, but the United Center in Chicago, where Michael Jordan used to play.
I don't know if I've been to the United Center.
It's another one of those venues where you're in a very union house again. It's a weird building as well, because like the floor where the loading docks are, you have to come around this like corner and then up this weird ramp that depending on how your stage setup is, you can either go straight into the arena floor or you have to take these 2 side VOMs that are even like these. It's almost like you're on a skateboarding course. You can't leave a case just back there because it'll roll down this hill.
Oh, wow. Yikes.
It's wild. So that's a interesting challenge, and usually they have a forklift that pushes the gear up and helps guide it down. At the end of the night, people just grab a handle and slide down.
Gotcha.
Everybody wants to get out at the end of the night. No one wants
whatever way it's gonna take.
Those union guys, they usually get paid for 4-hour minis. So if they can do a loadout in 2 hours and then be in their car getting paid for another 2 hours, I mean, they're gonna.
Great. They'll take it.
Unless you make them mad, then they're going to do the 4 hours and then some.
And then some. Yikes.
It was 2010, Alicia Keys. We were loading out of Madison Square Garden. What's the holiday with Jameson?
St.
Patrick's Day. Yeah.
The holiday with Jameson.
Everything was green. The Empire State Building was lit up green. I remember it. It was like a Sunday too. It was. I'm pretty sure it was a Sunday. Either it was a Saturday into a Sunday, and this was before they had renovated the garden, and so the back ramp was still the same. Like some of the procedures were still the same, but audio there gets taken care of, or half of audio gets taken care of by the IBEW guys, the Electric Brotherhood gentlemen.
Okay.
And that's we can go into that in a whole different conversation. And then Local 1 takes care of the stage audio. So any of the speakers that face the audience are dealt with the Electric Brotherhood dudes. And then the other half, anything that faces the performers, is dealt with Local 1.
Okay.
So
interesting.
It is a very interesting dance, and depending on how you come in the morning and how you treat them and how, it's one of those respect things.
Yeah, I mean, I think being kind to somebody
100%
goes a long way.
And some tours, and some guys come in a little hot in the morning, depending on look, who knows why, but playing the game with them makes them happy because it shows them a little bit of respect. Like, hey, look, I know that I could do this on my own, but I'm going to ask you to do it because this is your job. But if you're willing to let me do it, I can do it faster. And sometimes they're like, we got you. Just go do it real quick. Don't. Next time, I'll do it for you. There's like little things like that. But at the end of the night, it's hard because the local one guys also take care of video and lighting and all these other things, and so they have a certain amount of forklifts that are allocated for them to take gear down the ramp, and the IBEW guys only have like 4 forklifts. And same thing, you used to take them down in an elevator as well. Well, this night we were using the elevator, and who knows why they were in a bad mood, but they decided that, you know what, we're going to slow it down, and we're going to not only get our overtime, because now they were, I mean, it was a holiday weekend.
Oh, wow.
It was nighttime. I think they were getting close to their 4 hours, and so they realized that they were going to, might as well stay for 5.
Right.
Might as well stay for 6.
Right.
Because if I'm going to make overtime, I'm going to make some golden money.
Yeah.
I remember coming out of the garden, everybody else, and normally audio is, like I said earlier, you're either really fast or you're in the middle, but you're never last.
Yeah.
I watched the rigging, all the stuff that it takes to put the gear in the air, load into their truck, and close their truck doors before audio had I think even like 3/4 of our truck done.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I remember like standing on the street corner, like rubbing my face at like, I'm going to say 4 a.m, just like, what just happened? I've never seen 4 a.m. And it was just one of those moments where you have to let go of all things because I had no control. It's not like going in there and yelling at them was going to be any better. So in all the years of touring, going to like the TD Gardens and the Madison Square Gardens and all these places, they're amazing, but they also come with just so much stress at times.
Yeah.
Especially in the big shows.
100%. I can see that.
So my point with all of that is when you go to these places, you have to give a little bit of respect to not only what's happened in there, but the process of how these happen. Because those venues have been around way longer than touring has been a big thing. And so cramming these giant shows in for people to enjoy really does take a lot.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that there's something to be said about that. And that's where like touring is hard on people because of that stress level, because tours are getting bigger, because your tours are trying to save money, so they're trying to make load-ins and load-outs faster. There's all these little things because nothing's getting cheaper.
Right.
So
did that take a toll on your mental health?
Yeah, I mean, well, yes and no. I'm going to say that it was a character building type of thing where I can't say that it took let's start with 50-50 right now.
Okay.
Just because that's an easy way to look at it, because I think that it truly allowed me to talk to people every day in a different place with different values and different mindsets and different struggles and different things, because not every union is the same. Not every stagehand is the same. Not every tour is the same. And so going into these places with an open mind always made my day better.
Gotcha.
So looking at it in the sense, well, if I start my day the same way, and not every day on the road started that way for me though.
Right.
So that's where that 50-50 is, because yeah, it did take a toll on me because some of these big tours are hard.
For sure.
There's a cockiness and an ego that you have to have, I think, in certain fields. Touring was always that. I had a really, really, really big ego.
Yeah.
Because I think I moved up pretty fast and into a slot that deemed me to have a little bit of authority at times, where I think I took advantage of people, and I think I took advantage of the situation because I got put into authority. And that was where that could be part of that bad part of that mental health, that, because I would wake up and be like, you know what, I'm in a bad mood, so I'm just going to go in with a bad mood, and I'm
take it out on
everybody around me. I'm going to take it out on everyone else. And so yeah, it did take that toll. But then there were days where it was like, oh my gosh, today's going to be a super hard day. I just need to go in and just do it. I don't need to complain. I don't need to do anything because there's already going to be a whole bunch of other people complaining.
Yeah.
And those tended to be the better days, to be honest. And I can look back on it now and think, wow, if I was to tour today, I would tour way differently.
Yeah.
But I've also had time to sit at home and
really reflect on it.
Be humbled, reflect on it. I mean, you know, I'm starting something completely over in life. And a lot of people have gone back to touring.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, I mean, that it would be hard for me to say no because I do miss certain things of it.
What do you miss about it?
Well, I miss the people the most. There was definitely a giant group of people that I became close with that I think I'll always be somewhat close with. But touring is a hard thing to be close to people because they're gone. They're in a very different world. You know, their days are anywhere from, you know, a 16-hour day to a 20-hour day in some cases. And so to be selfish and think that I'm going to be able to hold on to the relationships I have a lot of more free time now, put it to you that way. A lot of those guys don't still. So I can't sit there and be like, man, you don't text me back all the time. Or, man, you're not looking at my memes. Or, hey, you're not paying attention to my podcast. They have their own life. So I think I will eventually slowly fall away from it just because I'm not in it anymore and I'm not surrounded by those people. But I still daily try to make an effort to, if it's like someone's photo or comment on a photo or, you know,
just be supportive in general.
Yeah, because those guys are out there and I have seen it. I've been there and I know that those little things do go a long way. So I miss the people. I don't miss what it was turning me into, though. I don't miss that I was becoming, for a lack of better words, I was allowing my ego to be so big and powerful that I was doing things to people throughout not only the touring world, but even on the side to manipulate and to truly give maybe a bad taste to what a roadie could be, you know, to, you know, let's say a stranger at a bar or to, you know, I just was unfair. And I was living this lifestyle where I think it was because of the days that I would have bad, then the next day I would take it out on someone else maybe.
Right.
Which is completely unhealthy.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
If I did that now, and I think that's why I can look back and think about this stuff, is because if I did that now, that means that I would wake up and if I was in a bad mood from yesterday, then I would take it out on our little kid.
Yeah.
Because he's the only, or you.
Right.
And how fair is that? So how fair would that have been for me to do that to anybody else in the world?
Yeah. I mean, not fair.
It's not fair at all. And so I'm really enjoying looking at life differently. And so maybe that's why, even though I'm not touring, I still try to be as supportive as I can to all my friends that do tour because I get it. And I know that it's hard. And, you know, I'm always here for them if they ever need anything. I mean, I hope whoever's listening to this from the touring world knows that, you know, my line is always open. You know, you can always swing by. You can always just call if you need a smile. I'll send you a meme.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do tour differently though too. A lot of more people I think are a little more mature and look at touring as a career or maybe something bigger. I looked at it as fun. And then it turned into, well, this work is getting in the way of my fun.
Right.
And then I would get bitter and then I would take it out and then the cycle would continue.
Yeah.
And so lately I've truly been trying to harness all the things that I do that are detrimental to my surroundings. I think I think that's the best way to look at it for myself is I've been and done a lot in life and I've been through a lot, but that's all in the past now. It's all about how I start to move forward.
Yeah.
And though touring will always be a giant part of my life, I don't want to act the way I did when I toured, especially to you, especially to our little guy, the future little guys or girls, to our family, to our friends, to even strangers on the street. I just want to look at life differently, and I want to be more grateful for the things I do have. And that was another thing. When I toured, I took such a bad advantage of, being in these amazing places because I'd be bitter of it. I didn't get a first class upgrade. This is ridiculous.
Right.
How I'm a peasant.
I'm a peasant.
Like, like, look at me. This is ridiculous. I just sit back here and coach. Like, this is absolute. Oh, they're flying a Southwest again. Peasants.
Love Southwest.
Pilgrims.
So dumb.
But that's where this whole touring and us talking about it last night, like being in Boston, I loved it. I loved going to Boston. There was so much fun stuff to do in Boston. There was drinking, there was food, there was water, there was great parks, there was great walks, just history in general.
Such a great city.
I'll miss days like that, but then again, towards the end, I wasn't taking advantage of those days.
Right.
I was more I hate to say bitter, but like I would just get to my room and be like, you know what? I don't really feel like doing this. I'm just going to I don't want to be here. So I'm just going to shut down. I'm going to go to the gym and take my aggression out on myself, which wasn't healthy by any means, because then I would work out for hours on end. And sure, I look good, but mentally I was destroyed inside.
Yeah.
I was being evil to you. I was, not being fair or honest to you. And that just turns into a lot of stress at the house now. So then when I come home from it, oh my gosh, now I got to deal with you being mad at me about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And we went through a lot. And so looking forward, well, yeah, I don't want to do that ever again. I'd much rather be completely honest, get it all out there, and then say, okay, cool, that was the past. Time to look forward now. And tomorrow, I'm going to be a better person. Let's just say in the sense that I'm going to wake up with a smile tomorrow, and I'm going to, instead of waiting 10 minutes to kiss you, I'm going to kiss you right now. Boom. And then, I'm going to go walk outside, maybe wave at the neighbor if they are outside. I don't know. It sounds cheesy, but there is a different mentality when you start looking at like how grateful you can be at the little things. And
your outlook makes all the difference.
Yeah. And
all the difference.
Oh my gosh. And I went from making, 6 figures to making nothing right now.
Yeah.
We are living in a completely different lifestyle, and I honestly like it better in a way.
I do too. Yeah.
I'm less stressed.
Yeah. It's funny. You would think having like a third of the money that we used to have would bring more stress. And in some areas it brings on a little bit more stress.
Yeah.
But like you said, we've learned to adjust. And the simplicity of being able to just enjoy each other for each other versus there having to be all these other things that we do or that we buy each other or, all this stuff.
And it's nice. I'm not saying that I wouldn't want to buy you something in the future or that I wouldn't want to go out to a fancy dinner, but I'm also not going to lie. It takes off so much stress when I get home or when you get home and you're like, what's for dinner? And I'm like, we're having blah, 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 because we already went to the store. We already bought food for the week. And so it takes away a lot of those like little stresses that then put on a bigger stress down the road.
Yeah.
Like, you could never choose a restaurant.
Right.
You could never tell me what you want to do tonight. Whatever. We sit on the couch. We watch a movie. Sometimes we watch a little YouTube and we go to bed. It's not right now in this time, in this moment of time, it doesn't matter.
It's what works for us.
It'll never matter ever again if I never buy another Louis Vuitton anything.
Yeah.
But what I'm working for is to better the life of my child, this family, the family name. Because I've already put a bad taste out there to a lot of people with the Kriz last name,
Like, got some bridges to rebuild.
Maybe I burned them completely.
Yeah.
But I know that hopefully through the teachings and the mental changes I'm making, the emotional changes, the physical changes, and even the spiritual changes, that I'll be able to show little dude like, hey, I know that you think that this is it, but I can tell you from experience that this is not it. There's so much more to life. And I heard it put the other day, it's like right now is when you need to live. And people say it all the time, like, if you think about what's going to happen to you in 20 years, you're just going to get worried.
Yeah.
But if you think about like, hey, if I can make it through today, I'm fine. Like, hey, today's a really hard day. I woke up in a bad mood, but I'm slowly going to change it. I'm slowly going to change it. I'm slowly going to change it. I don't care about what tomorrow is, because tomorrow I could wake up in a good mood. But right now, I need to change my outlook on life right now.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing those things, and I never did that on tour though. So that's where your question of my mental health, did it take a toll on me? It for sure took a toll on me. And it's because I think I wanted to live such a different life on tour than most people do.
Yeah.
So to me, touring was very volatile.
Yeah.
If that answers your question.
It does answer my question. Yeah. I mean, I was not expecting you to say that you don't miss it at all. Like, of course you're going to miss it. You had a lot of really amazing experiences throughout your touring career, and made a lot of incredible friends and stuff. So, I mean, if you told me you didn't miss it at all, I'd be like, okay, you're lying. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
So, but it's pretty amazing to get to see you go from the man that you were and turn into the man that you have become and are becoming, because you're two totally different people.
Well, thank you. It was terrifying thinking about starting over. It was really, really hard. Like, wow, I have to go all the way back to square one if I want to be different. Because if I could have gone back to the road, and we've talked about this before, I've gotten text messages, phone calls. I've even gotten phone calls from buddies who are in, other companies like, hey, would you think about coming and doing video or this or that? And it's like, it's amazing. The love. I mean, I'm like, wow, I really didn't think I would ever get a phone call ever again, but thank you. But I stepped away, not because I didn't like the company Claire that I worked for. It's not that I didn't like touring with these people. It's had nothing to do with that. I didn't like who I was becoming.
Yeah, it wasn't healthy for you anymore to be a part of touring.
Only me. Yeah. And that was the choice. And so starting over was my choice too. This wasn't your choice. You didn't tell me, oh, you should go do a podcast. Well, you did, but for a completely different other reason.
Yeah. It was a suggestion, not a suggestion. You need to leave.
But there was, and I saw this by Gary Vee the other day. He said, I'm going to tell you the secret to life. There is no right time. And so I could have gone back to touring and said, maybe I just make a little bit of money this year, and then next year I'll come off the road and I'll stay home with the little guy. But we need the money. But we took a chance and we said, F the money. F it all. Let's just go big and do something for us and say, well, I don't know what 10 years is going to be like if we continue down this path. But if I give 100% like I did when I started over going to Claire, I had a great job down in Orlando. I worked for an amazing company. I think in any company you can get bitter over time. And there were certain things that I, be like, get really annoyed by doing the same show once a year or whatever it'd be. Same with Claire though. But I started over. I even started over going to this that original company in Orlando.
Right.
So I've started over in my life probably 2 times prior to this time. So 3 times total. And each time I've risen higher than I ever expected myself to, because I challenged myself to, I'm a pretty hard person on myself.
You are.
And this is the same thing. This is going to be the hardest task of my life, to be a stay-at-home dad who works. Like, when he goes to bed, I just plug away on the computer. I read and I do social media stuff. I learn how to try to get into these algorithms.
Edit the videos.
I do all of this is strictly for this podcast and for this family and for me to stay home. It brings in $0, but one day, if we continue to push the boundaries of what we do and give good content and give great stuff, then that starting over will pay off.
For sure.
And it'll pay off even more because the one thing I always hated was always having a boss.
True, very true.
Sometimes when you get bossy with me, I get a little lippy for that reason.
Well, you shouldn't have asked me to be your manager then.
But there is one other thing that we're working on, and it was something that I always wanted to do, and I've told a few people about it. I'm going to hold it for the show, but that was another thing. I always kept saying, well, right now is not the time. I'm busy doing work. I'm busy doing this. Well, when the pandemic hit, it was like, well, I have nothing but free time.
And you may never get another chance.
May never get another chance.
We may not get tomorrow. It may only be today.
Maybe in 10 years, I do have to go get a real job again.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. But I'm thinking about it as I'm never getting a real job ever again because I want this so bad. And so every day that I see one like or one view or anything like that, it pushes me that much harder to be that much more better for not only the listeners, but for the family, for the little dude, for you, for our relationship, because it is improving our relationship. Being
oh my
home,
gosh, so much.
Being here, being a parent, being in your life, something that I never thought I would do. I always wanted to be the guy that just came back to your life.
Right.
It's changing me. And so I can say mental health of mine is better, but it's because I'm doing the things that are for me now, and I'm not trying to impress anyone else anymore.
Right,
like,
right.
I don't care if you listen to this and you hate every word that comes out of my mouth or you can't stand my voice, then don't watch it. But if you're the person that listens to it and you're like, I can relate a little bit, that's awesome. I'm so stoked. I'm so stoked because that is just it. I'm my number one fan. I'm pretty sure you're my second number one fan.
Yeah, I'm tied with you for number one, I think.
But I'm not trying to impress anyone else. I'm just trying to do this because it keeps me here with you, and I love being here with you, and I love being here with the little guy. And so,
me too.
Mentally, I'm on a new high, and we had to go through a little bit of something a couple weeks, or not like bad, but we went through a dip, and I think we both went through a dip, and it's because, and I hope you don't mind if I say it.
I don't.
But you had a miscarriage.
I did.
And it was hard. It really was like, whoa, what did we do wrong? But then all of a sudden, all these people opened up to us and they're like, no, you didn't do anything wrong. But we together, we're there to support each other, but I feel like we both kind of not imploded by any. We didn't like.
We had to process it on our own as well.
Yeah.
As processing it together.
But it was hard. And then that led into a lot of other things that were coming into our lives with just people visiting. And then we were getting remarried. And
work was crazy.
Work was crazy. It was all these things. And then
October was a hard month.
A couple of weeks ago, we started talking and saying, we need to be better. We are here together in this fight together. How can we do this? How can we break these boundaries? Like, cool, we're not dieting. We're changing the way we eat. Cool. Yeah. We're not 100% in our mental health, so let's be more open. Let's spend more time together. Hey, we didn't kiss a lot last month. We're kissing 10 times more this month.
Yes.
And I think all of those things have slowly, truly helped us this last 2 weeks get to this show.
Absolutely.
This show is so important because it's not like we're writing a book on how to do it. We're just giving everyone our lives, and we're just opening up and saying, cool, if we're going to do the best show, or if we're going to be able to give you the best material, I have tour stories for days. We can go on all the tour stories. But inside of these tour stories, I think we have a real opportunity to show people that no matter who or where you are in life or where you think you sit, you'll always be able to do better. Yeah. You can always improve. You can always look up and say, okay, I was here today. Today was average. Tomorrow can be 1% better. So. And
that's what matters. That 1%.
Every day.
Healthy human.
And who knows, tomorrow, with this coffee and Jameson,
well, I could be 1% worse.
I could be 3% worse.
True. So true.
I honestly have to say though that I'm at a new level of pushing myself in a healthy way that it feels good now. Like when I'm working out, I'm not just pushing myself like, oh my gosh, I got to get to that 6-pack. It's like no. This morning when I was doing my push-ups, I was not really into it, and I just said, you know what? Keep going though, because you can get stronger.
For sure.
Don't worry about the 6-pack right today, because Phil,
it will come.
You have a beer belly.
No, you don't.
Let yourself go.
There you go, being too hard on yourself again.
Phil, you have put pizza and beer into your system for 2 months, a little too much, and a little blizzard here and there.
And we're having pizza tonight.
Well, that's because we're having guests, and we didn't want to be rude.
I'm excited about that.
Us eating turkey and stir fry every night is like just because it's easy and we actually enjoy it.
Lean.
Yeah, it's lean and whatever. But I was not going to force our guests to eat our turkey stir fry.
It's delicious. I think they would like it.
But
I also don't want to share it.
It is
pizza. It
is really good though. It's like one of those things where it's like
It is simple and so yummy.
So I think this is another really interesting thing. I think a lot of people who are very highly driven or highly successful, they do a lot of the same things every day because it saves them time on worrying about other junk.
Absolutely.
Like, let's just say the stars of the world that go out to eat every night. They're not going out to eat just to go waste a bunch of money. They're going out to eat because they have other things going on. And it's way easier to have someone else cook them food.
For sure.
And eat it and then walk away.
For sure.
Zero cleaning, zero thinking, zero buying. And that's kind of what we're doing right now with these like turkey stir fries. Sure. Like every time I pull a bag out, I'm like, oh, whatever. Turkey stir fry tonight. But it's good and I dig it and it's nutrients and it's getting me healthy.
Yeah.
But it's also saving me hours of trying to like read through a recipe book.
And saving us a bunch of money.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too, is like we said, we went down a whole, it doesn't matter how much we make, but we did lose a complete salary from this household. And so we've had to make some changes,
adjustments.
So.
That dinner. So everybody that's listening, if you're on a budget and you want to try a random dinner, we literally buy ground turkey. And then there are these like stir fry veggie bags from the grocery store. And the stir fry bag, it's for a family of 4 and it is $4. And then the ground turkey is a pound of ground turkey, and that's $3. So for $7, you and I eat dinner, and then the next day we eat lunch. Yeah. So we get 4 meals out of it, which is awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I'm not trying to, be the next Amaral. The same way I said on the show the other day, I'm not trying to be a 1% athlete. I just want to be a 1% dad that truly looks at his family as priority one. Mm-hmm. And I want to put our house in order. I want to do all the things for us first while still helping around. I want to help our friends. I want to help the community. I want to help the greater community. I want to help the world. But if I don't do stuff here and I don't put the time in here, then I'll never be able to go and help the kids in wherever.
Yeah. Well, it's like
eat or help donate money to this cause, or there's so many places where I want to help, but if I don't do it here first and put the time in and just do it, then
you won't be able to do it for somebody else. Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with you. I'm very, very proud of you. You've made massive strides, and I love getting to actually see it and getting to be a part of it.
Well, I think we'll maybe next episode when we come back, like I said, we're going to do Kirsten next week. Mm-hmm. Maybe we can ask about your mental health and how you, with me home now, how has it improved your life?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you're way more mentally healthy.
I feel like you're think so.
Way more confident.
Way more confident.
I think me being gone and always lying to you took a toll on your confidence.
100%.
So I would love to dive into some of that next week.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm into it.
Well, do you have anything else? Any more Boston stuff?
No, I think we touched on the important things for today's episode, really just wanting to kind of talk a little bit more about mental health and just how it's affected you and where you're at and stuff. I feel good.
Well, we're doing this whole thing for a year.
Yeah.
I would love to do it for the rest of our lives, but we're really documenting it for this year. Mm-hmm. And then we can redocument for the next year after that. But I really want to push those boundaries of health in all facets, and I really do want to not only through photos, but I want to look at our skin. What is, like, changing your mood and all that stuff helps all those parts of your body.
Sure.
So I would love to like have some of these photos and then look back in a year and be like, oh wow, we really do look better as people.
Right.
So that's awesome. So I've been hashtagging all this stuff again for healthy human, healthy mom, healthy dad, healthy mom challenge, healthy dad challenge.
Yeah.
So if any of our listeners are wanting to jump on board and just be a part of this little community that we're starting, just
join in.
Tag yourself, tag Backyards and Bevvies. Let us know that hey, next time you're out on a run, take a screenshot, or if you're listening to us in your car, take a screenshot, and always feel free to tag Backyards and Bevvies. We'll give you a shout out.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome with the support of, fans and the people who are really just helping us out, just like spreading the word. Please help continue to spread the word by telling your family and your friends. We're on TikTok, Twitter,
all
Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Not really.
Patreon.
Yeah.
YouTube.
Come hang with us.
Come hang. Just, I am always available for a quick chat via the interwebs, and I love to talk, and I love to support. So
for sure,
if there's something that you need support on, hey, tag us and
know.
we will help you in your journey as well.
Absolutely.
So, until next week.
Yeah, until next time.
Thank you all so much for showing up for your midweek treat.
Thanks, guys. Can't wait to see you again.
You're not finishing.
I'm not drinking this whole thing. No.
I don't think
We can say bottoms up and cheers. I'm not chugging this large coffee that has Jameson in it. Have a wonderful week, everybody.
Cheers and bottoms
cheers,
up.
Bottoms up.
Love you.
Love you.
Oh yeah, that's potent.
Bye.
Cheers.
Ow. My ear started doing